Does this need some blurring? Does the sun need another tweak? It's what drives, artists to insanity. Hi, I'm Christopher Ross from the BSC. I'm here in CAMERIMAGE presenting my TV series Shogun. Is nominated for the Golden Frog for Best Cinematography in Television Series. From about the age of 15, I wanted to be a filmmaker. My parents would feed that by, buying me VHSs, allowing me to watch inappropriate films like Goodfellas and Alien when I was way too young. I always tended to be more camera orientated, and then when I went to university I studied physics with astrophysics and geometrical optics, sort of not a filmmaking course, but again met a bunch of collaborators, and it was the early 90s. There was no mini DV or any of that, and there certainly wasn't any celluloid, and just over time did a job on running on one film, did a job running on a short, culminating at Panavision in London. And very fortunately, I met an incredible guy called Jim Budd. He invited me to join the team in the camera and lens service department. I'd go out on films for long periods of time and fix things in the field. A lot of nerdy things, took a lot of cameras apart. I could probably still build you an SR3 from its constituent bolts and whatever. I made a bunch of terrible, pretentious short films, but that culminated in shooting my first zero budget feature whilst I was still employed at Panavision, and that was it. That film was released, and suddenly I was a DP, a clueless DP, but a DP nonetheless. My main sort of storytelling element is the lens choice. And that's because that has the big effect on faces, geometry of buildings, that kind of thing. I love the kind of collaboration inside every lens between all of the elements to correct each other. And I love the fact that that compromise can never be fully corrected. I think I've probably shot 70% of my work anamorphic because of that unpredictability. I used it on the film The Swimmers, and it was pretty much on the A camera the whole time, and the B camera was the 75 or the 135. Pretty much the look of that film is the look of that lens, because we could shoot guerrilla style in anamorphic, which is an unusual combination. And likewise on Shogun, we were leaning into the added distortion properties of the lenses, and I think the look of Shogun is a vital point of the storytelling. I did a day of shooting in a rental house with one of the supporting artists, and I threw every lens that I could on every camera that I could. A week later, one of the sets was basically ready, and within a few minutes of throwing a couple of lenses on, the Hawk Class X was the one that we thought transformed the space into something interesting and dynamic. Really, the look of Shogun, the lenses they're super cool, and they are part of the mashup, but really the look of Shogun comes from coordination with the SFX team. So every set has, lay flat smoke tubes so that there's mist dropping off of the roofs of the buildings. There's lay flats in the forest backgrounds, drifting smoke across the thing, and then all of that sort of held together with a piece of hardware called live grain that feeds utterly random grain into your imagery frame by frame. It's that use of atmospheric that gives the show its murky rawness. Filmmaking is like, sculpting someone's head out of clay, and the director has got their hands on the clay, and then myself, the production designer, costume designer, the editor, we all got our hands on his or her hands. In the end, there's 1,000 hands on this face, all trying to render the perfect nose, the perfect eyebrow, and you're never gonna get to that piece of perfection. But what you might get to is some semblance of art. I'm currently the president of the BSC, and a lot of my friends are cinematographers, and there's a certain number of common themes. Everybody has a different journey, and those common themes are persistence, You know, it's a war of attrition, really, our careers. If you want to make films, then you have to make films. Shoot as much as you can. If you can shoot every day, if you can carry a camera around with you and shoot your own projects and be inspired by the natural environment you find yourselves in. I did a job with an amazing DP. I asked him what things I needed to be a cinematographer. And he said, you only need two things to be a cinematographer: a light meter and an opinion. And a light meter isn't that important. And I think that's the thing, is keep having an opinion, keep saying yes, keep shooting, and the good will, keep learning, and the good will out.